So, now you understand what you mean by divergence of a vector field at a point in the field. Gradient, divergence, both. Clear? Physical significance, not mathematical significance, physical significance. So, then next we will move for the curl operation, right. And mathematically, probably I told you last class, curl means del cross a vector field, that is called as curl operation, right. And that leads to give the mathematical formula x cap, y cap, z cap, del by del x, del by del y, del by del z, then Vx, Vy, Vz, right, in matrix form. Ultimately, that tells it is a vector quantity, right. So, curl of a vector field is a vector, but divergence of a vector field is scalar, right. And both curl and divergence are all the time at a point in the field, right. It refers to all the time at a point. Divergence of a vector field at a point, curl of a vector field at a point, right. Then now, what do you mean by that curl operation, and what is its significance? That I told last class, that if a vector field has some rotational effect, right. If a vector field has some rotational effect at any point in the field, then that information you can collect with the help of curl operation, right. So, that means as I told you, if water is flowing with some velocity which is a vector quantity, right, vector field, the velocity of the water flow, and if at a point curl of this vector field V, right, curl of this vector field V is a non-zero quantity, non-zero vector, finite vector. That means, if it is not zero vector, other than zero vector, right, having some finite magnitude with direction, non-zero vector, then it tells that there is circulation of that vector around that point. That is the significance, right. If curl of a vector function at a point is a non-zero vector, that indicates that there is rotation of that vector at that point, right. But if it is equal to zero vector, then there is no rotation, whether it is a zero vector or non-zero vector, right. That will tell you whether the vector field is rotating at that point or non-rotating, simply flowing, right. Then now, if you want to elaborate the explanation how and why it comes to that extent, to tell that if it is non-zero vector, then it is rotational, if it is zero vector, non-rotational, right. For that, I told you about the integration of vector field or not? Integration, differentiation is clear, right. So, suppose for example, let us say I will tell you there is a vector and travels a length of dl, right, small elementary length dl, then if you integrate this, then how will you do that integration? Of course, it is with limits, let us say a to b, finite magnitude, right. So, ultimately it tells it is v dl cos theta, right. V cos theta you know magnitude, and integrate over that path in between A to B, right. If you integrate, then it will give a definite quantity, that is the integration of a vector field over some length, right. Similarly, now the question is, suppose for example this vector field V dot dl over a closed path. What does it mean? Over a closed path, right. It is open path A to B. So, this is point A, this is point B, the path is like that, then you have to integrate it over that path. But if it is closed path, suppose this is A, this is B, it goes like this and then come back in this. This is a closed path, right. Then what is the value of this integration? Integration of a vector field over a closed path. How much you are expecting? Is it having any finite value or zero value? Finite value, how and why? You see here, when you are telling A to B, it is something. Again, if you go from B to A, negative of that, or not? Close means what? A to B, again B to A, then only it is closed, right? A to B and then again B to A. So, the path is reverse or same direction. So, whatever result you will get from A to B, it is just reverse when you come from B to A, or not? So, when you go from A to B and then come from B to A, the magnitudes or the values of this integration is just opposite. Then if you add them, then what result you will get? It is all the time 0, remember it, right. All the time it is 0. Vector field integration over any closed path is always 0. Right. So, then now the question comes, we know this is the correct first thing, then we can write also, we learned it that a vector can be expressed as the gradient of a scalar, right. A vector field V can also be expressed as the gradient of a scalar field U, that is also clear, right. So, if this vector is represented as this gradient of a scalar function, then also you can integrate in the same way as it is done, right. Then, so now the question comes, what will happen if, suppose for example, let this is a rectangle, it goes in this way, but of course it is closed, right, closed path, or not? It is closed path, and the path is again in a field. You mark the difference what I am writing here. What is the difference? Suppose I will take a field represented by flux lines like this and like this. What is the difference between them? Are they same or different? Let us say this is your vector field V and this is your vector field V prime. Both are same or different? Different, because flux lines here are concentrated at some area, but it is uniform, right. The flux will define the field, and the flux distribution in both the cases are not same. Here the flux lines are more concentrated, more gathered there, but less gathered in this way. but here it is uniformly distributed. So, the fields are totally different, therefore, V vector is never same as the V prime vector, right. So, now you think what will happen if I will take a same rectangle, let us say here A, B, C, D, and the path goes like this, which is again closed path, right. So, are you getting any difference between the values of this line integration from A, B, C, D, or they are same? Both are A, B, C, D, same rectangle, but placed in two different fields, one uniform field, another is non-uniform field. This is non-uniform field, this is uniform field, right. So, if you go for the line integration of that rectangular path over that field, then are they same or different? Different, right. And you should understand also why it is different. These two opposite faces are equal length, these opposite faces are also having equal length, because it is a rectangle, right. But you see this integration, what does it tell? V dot dl, there is an angle in between, either it may be this case or that case, right. And what is that angle? Angle between the direction of the field and the path across which you are travelling, right. So, if this angle between them is 0, then value is maximum, right. But when perpendicular, 0, right. So, now see, look here these two arms, what about the direction? 90 or not? For these two opposite faces, what is the angle between these two, vector and path? This path and the direction of the field, hence 0, right. For these two it is 0, but for other two it is parallel, angle is 0, hence maximum, right. So, when you go for the line integration over the closed path, for these two it is 0, but for these two it is there, right. Again, whatever the value may be, if it is uniform, then it will again cancel, because this and this, right. If it is uniform field, right, if it is uniform field, then the line integration for this is just opposite of this, because the directions are opposite. Hence, the line integration over that kind of field is ultimately give you, it will be 0, right. Yes. Vector is a vector field all the time. When you are telling vector, it is a vector field, obviously, otherwise how will you get the vector, right. Without vector there is no vector field, without scalar there is no scalar field. Yes, why not? If you are writing a vector, you can draw many lines parallel to that, that is a field, or vice versa. There is no vector without field, there is no field without vector, then only you can tell it is a vector field, right. So, now compare these two situations, this and this, right. Here it is 0, but here is it 0 or not? Here also it is 0, non-uniform. The two are 0 all the time in both the cases. But what about other two? In both the cases they are perpendicular, hence you can tell it will vanish. But on the other two sides, is there any difference or the same? Difference because of the flux. Here more flux in this side, less flux in this side. That makes the difference. Right? This side is associated with more number of flux, but here it is associated with less number of flux. Hence it can never be cancelled out. Because of that, here the line integration over the closed path cannot be 0. Right? It cannot be 0, but here it is 0. In case of uniform field it is 0, but in case of non-uniform field it is not 0, non-zero. Right? Now we will go to analyze in terms of this curl operation, the same thing. It is 0 vector or non-zero vector. When curl non-zero, otherwise it is 0 vector. Right? So, we are looking for that kind of situation when there is non-uniform field. Right? Then now let us go for the Cartesian coordinate system to get the curl operation. Cartesian coordinate system, that is x, y, z axis. Right? So, let us say I will take three mutually perpendicular areas of infinitesimally small length and breadth. This is one, right? This is another, and here is the axis, and another goes like this. And obviously you can tell that they will meet at one point or not. These three planes which are perpendicular to each other. So, let us say this is your x direction and it goes in this way, x direction. This is your y direction and this is your z direction. Axis is direction, right? So, now the velocity the vector field at this point O is represented as v vector at that point, right? At which point? At point O, where three mutually perpendicular planes are intersecting with each other, at that point, right? Now, if you are coming, let us say I will tell this is your A, B, C, D, this is A prime, B prime, B prime, C prime and D prime. They are mutually perpendicular or not. Similarly, let us say this is A double prime, B double prime, C double prime, D double prime. That is also perpendicular to both, right? And they are meeting at a point O, which is treated to be the origin, reference point. And the value of the vector field at that point O is this. It has components Vx, Vy, Vz, right? Rectangular components of that vector field at that point is Vx, Vy, Vz. Now, you think about the situation, let us say here the velocity vector is going in this direction, the field is in this direction, right? Field is there, then only the area will link, right? So, then what do you mean by curl of the vector operation at this point? Right? At this point. What do you mean by that? How to get it? It is three-dimensional picture. So, you have to consider all three areas which are mutually perpendicular to each other. Of course, the lengths are infinitesimally small, dx, dy and dz, right. This area is, if it is x, it is y dx dy or dy dz or dx dz. These are the three areas corresponding to three planes, rectangular planes, right. So, then now if you want to go for integration over the closed path, think what to do and how to do, right. Here the value at this point O is Vx, right. But if you travel along x direction, what you will get? You have to reach at this point or not? Otherwise, how can you integrate along that path? You have to first come to that point, and it is considered that since the path is extremely small, the average value throughout is same, right. If you come to this midpoint here, then over that path it remains same, the average value remains same, because the length is very small, extremely small, infinitesimally small, dy, right. Then you have to first find what is the value of that component at this point in middle of dy, right, middle of dy. Similarly, middle of AB, and similarly middle of BC and middle of CD, right. If you get the value at these points, then it is average all over that length. If you get at this point, it is same for all. If you get at this point, same over all. If you get at this point, same over all, and if you get at this point, same over all. Average value is same, right. Then you can go for the closed path A, B, C, D. Like that, the other two planes also. Now, how will you get the vector field at this point, at the midpoint of CD and at the midpoint of AB first? How to get it? What is the value? You tell here how much is the value, midpoint. Obviously, at this point it is Vx, right. At this point it is Vx. You are travelling a distance of half dx, right. When you come from this point to this point, how much path you are travelling? Half dx, and that is changing again in that direction, right. In that direction it is changing. Then how can you find the value at that point? It is Vx minus half, then what will change? Which will change now? Vy is changing with respect to x or not? You are going in x direction, negative x direction again, that is a negative sign, right, and covering the path half dx, right, covering the path of how much? Half dx, because the total path is dx, right. In x direction, what is the path of this rectangle? Dx. But when you come from this point to here, it is half of that, and over that length only there is change of y component along x direction, and that too again you are going against positive x direction, that is why negative, right. So, the value of this vector at this point is this much, right. So, throughout this side the length, the vector field is remaining same, it is the average value. The average value in that line is remains same and is this much. Similarly, you go for the other side, this side, is it same or different? Huh? Which one? Z component, you are taking that plane only. You are considering now a plane with respect to the field lines, only xy plane, right, only xy plane. Then what will be the value at the midpoint of this side? Like here it is minus, here it will be plus, because you are going in the positive direction, or not? Here you are coming in negative x direction, but there you are going positive, hence only there is a sign change of plus. So, the average value throughout that length is Vx plus half del Vy by del x into dx. Huh? Divided with the you consider only one area. I am telling with respect to that area only, dx dy. Z is not considered here. We are taking only one area, dx dy, and that is why it is shown three areas, right. There are three areas which are mutually perpendicular to each other, and you have to find for all the areas, then add them all, right. So, first find for one area, then second area, then third area, add them all to get the resultant. So, when you go for this area A, B, C, D, for this side the average value is this, for this side the average value is plus, right. Now, tell what about the other two area, breadth of the rectangle, how will you reach there, which is changing? Here Vy is changing with respect to x, and in this direction x is changing with respect to y, right. In this direction Vx is changing with respect to which direction? Y direction. If you come this side negative, that side positive. Write the equation. What is the average value along these two paths? Like this. Find out the value, how much it will be. Sorry, I have made a mistake here. Actually, this is not x, y, because y component is changing. So, similarly, you find for these two, other two. How much is that value? Which will change now? X, Vx or not? This will be V y or x? Vy, right? Then if you go in this direction plus, and this change will be on Vx, right? This is Vx with respect to x dx, plus and minus. This is plus, this is minus. Then find the total for the closed path. You add them all. Find for the closed path how much it will be. But again one thing, remember here, these two directions are opposite, right? The average value whatever you are taking, they travel through different opposite direction. One is in this direction, another is in this direction, right? They are opposite direction. Similarly here also. So when you consider this x direction, take care of that sign also. So first you take whatever you are getting, there is negative sign of these components multiplied by dx, right? One is plus, other is minus in that direction for these two paths. Similarly for these two paths, you will get 4 components, right? For 4 sides there are 4 values. Just difference is the plus minus and direction of motion, x or y, that's all. But put them in such a way that you have to multiply it by this dx. Dx is this distance, because this is the distance dx, right? So dx is multiplied by how many terms? 2. One in this direction, another in this direction, right? Similarly, then again plus something multiplied by dy for these two, because this path is dy or not. At each point the value is that, multiply by that length, that is dy, right? The average value across that path is this value, but over the path he has to go, then it is multiplied by dy. Like here it is dx, here it is dy, right? So ultimately if you add them all, then how much you are getting? What is the total net value? Understand what I am telling? Because you see, this is dx, this is dx, this is dy, this is dy. So if you get the value here, it is same throughout, and here same throughout, then you have to multiply by the length. That's why it is multiplied by dx. Similarly, these two paths are having same, this is dy, this one, and this is dx, that's why this bracket. So one bracket multiplied by dx, that is for these two, and for these two it is multiplied by dy, right? 4 sides, 4 values, but arrange them to get in terms of dx and dy, because 2 are for dx, 2 are for dy. Then what is the result you are getting? Find out the result, how much it is. First, it is sure that this component will go, right? Vx, Vy, they will vanish. Only components remain will be this variation of Vy with respect to x or y with respect to z, whatever it may be. That component will only exist. Otherwise, this will cancel plus out, plus minus. They will cancel out. So, ultimately it will be just I will verify that it will come del V y by del x minus del V x by del, I am just giving an example dy, this one, right, because 3 areas are there. I am telling for all 3 areas, this is for one area, right, this is for one area. Like that there are 2 more areas. One will be del V y by del x minus del V x by del y. Then the second one will be del V x by del y minus del V y by del x, and the third one is del V x by del z minus del V z by del x. But very important thing is that these are only magnitudes, right, but you have to take the direction also. Which rule? You know, the area is a vector, right hand screw rule, right. So, all 3 are vectors, when you add them it is also a vector, and that is the curl, right. So, actually this is called as curl of V, this is also curl of V, this is also curl of V, but they are in different directions, right. One in x direction if it is yz perpendicular to that, if it is xy in z direction, right, if it is xz in y direction. So, they are associated with 3 directions represented by x cap, y cap, z cap, right. So, if you put this value, then how much it will be? Usually this is z cap, this is x cap, and this is y cap, right. You try to check it up. You know the idea how to get it, and 3 components for 3 values with direction for 3 different areas, right, which are mutually perpendicular to each other. Then obviously now what can you tell? You are just going to add them, get the resultant over the whole space at that point, or not? You are getting the curl of that vector at that point, right. So, you have to consider all 3 such areas which are mutually perpendicular to each other in that space. Another thing I had forgotten. Actually, these components dx, dy, dy, dz, and dx, dz will be also there here. So, what you are getting here is per unit area. Remember it. This is per unit area, right? Because you have to divide by the area, all the cases. Then only it will come. Otherwise, this will be there. It will appear. But when you go for unit area, obviously they will go out, right. So, now this is nothing but the curl of vector operation V at that point, right. Curl of the vector field at that point is given by these 3. Now, it is a vector or scalar? Vector, and that you can put in also matrix form, same thing, same matrix, right. Whatever matrix we got there, you are getting the same matrix here also. But now you try to understand what is the physical significance of that curl of the vector. So, now what may happen, if you add them all, the resultant may be a 0 vector or non-zero vector. There are 2 possibilities, right, only 2 possibilities. One is either 0 vector or non-zero vector, but it must be a vector. Curl of a vector field at a point is all the time a vector, but whether it is 0 vector or non-zero vector, that will tell about the situation, circumstance of the vector field at that point, right. If this is a non-zero vector, then that tells that vector field is rotating at that point. That is why you see, when you have taken 3 areas, I have given the sign to find out the direction, right hand cos to rule, then only you can know the direction. these directions. 3 areas, 3 directions. These are defined here. That's why I have put the arrow marks along that axis. Right? So then now, if it is non-zero vector, then it is rotational or irrotational. The two things are coming. Physical significance is either rotational or irrotational. So if it is non-zero vector, then it tells that it is rotational, right? This is rotational. But if it is zero vector, then it is irrotational or non-rotational. Same thing, right? So if you find these values at that point, then you can know whether it is a zero vector or non-zero vector, right? You have to calculate these values at that point, then you will know whether it is zero vector or a non-zero vector. Then you can tell whether there is circulation at that point of that vector field or not, right? Whether the vector field is circulating at that point or not, right? And another example you might have known about it, how can you relate linear velocity with angular velocity, linear displacement s and theta. Similarly, velocity, one is called as your displacement, or you can write r vector and theta vector, then v vector and omega vector. You know the relation, right? Linear displacement, angular displacement, linear velocity, angular velocity, right? So now, how can you write this r or s, not r vector, write s vector, displacement, right? So there is a relation between these two, you know, linear displacement and angular displacement, right? And they both are vectors again, both are vectors. Then how to write them? What is the relation? S vector equal to what? R cross theta. Be careful about the sign. It is cross. You cannot write dot, because that tells the direction of S, right? That will tell you the direction of this S. So linear displacement and angular displacements are related by this relation, which is also just like curl operation, right? Similarly, if you write this velocity, what will happen? How can you write this velocity? Actually, it is del s, small change, because del theta is a vector, right? Try to understand what I am telling. Theta is not a vector, it is angle. But when I will tell del theta, it is vector. Small displacement, angular, right? Like area. Infinitesimally small area is a vector, but simple area is never a vector. Similarly, this theta is not a vector, but del theta is a vector. So if I write del s, then obviously this will be del theta, right? Similarly, when I will write del v, then r cross, this is vector, del omega, right? So you can treat them as the vector field, this one and this one, right? Similar way. And hence you can know what you see when you are telling angular velocity, what does it mean? There is rotation, obviously, or not? So whether there is rotation or not, you can confirm with the application of that curl. You know that if there is rotation, then this thing will happen. Linear velocity can be related to angular velocity by that way. But whether that rotation is existing or not, first you can check by curl operation, whether that velocity or the vector field is non-zero vector, or curl of that is non-zero vector or zero vector. Right, then accordingly you can tell there is rotation or not. Because when you are telling angular velocity, angular displacement, all the time there is rotation about an axis. Rotation means about an axis, right? But whether that rotation is there or not, that you can check by the curl operation. So similarly, you try to do one numerical I have written. Yes. This one you try. Del S vector is del theta vector cross R vector, right? Then this del V vector is R cross del omega vector. So similarly, you try some more problem. Numericals are also there in your book. You try to solve those numericals given in the book, relevant to both divergence as well as grade, right? Divergence operation and grade operations and relevant numericals, including examples. Don't feel it that examples are solved, these are not important, they are very important, right? That's why it is solved. So solved examples along with problems, you try to solve it out. So this is all about actually vector calculus, you can say, right? It involves differentiation as well as integration, right? Integration is coming here. So vector calculus involves differentiation as well as integration, and these operations are relevant to that only, right? Then now when you will go for learning about electricity and magnetism, all are important. That's why, because they are all in vector field, may it be electric field or magnetic field, all are vector fields. And there also you will have to deal with the divergence and curl and gradient, right? Gradient, divergence, curl, all are there in both electric as well as magnetic fields, right? Just I am telling you, how can you write, what do you mean by electric field intensity, E vector? You know about the property of the charges or not? Electric charge. Electric charge, what do you mean by an electric charge and what are their properties? That I told probably. If it is, you take any material, it can appear in two ways, neutral or charged, electrically neutral or charged, right? Both cannot be at a time, either neutral or charged. That may be again positively charged, negatively charged, right? So what do you mean by the neutral, electrically neutral? What is that? When you can tell that a body is electrically neutral, a material is electrically neutral? Yes, so when you are telling about a material, that material must have come from some atoms and molecules, nothing else, right? The material must come from either atoms if it is in pure form, elementary form, or else if it is compound form, then molecules, nothing else. So any material, whatever it may be, whatever phase it may be, must comes from atoms only. Molecule is also coming from atom, right? So the phase may be different, but it must involve the atoms, maybe of same type or different type. If it is compound, different type; if it is element, same type. But ultimately it comes from the atoms, right? In case of molecules, they are binding each other by different bondings, that's why you are getting compound. If it is element, then there is also bonding, but in between similar atoms, right? If it is similar atom, it is element; if it is dissimilar atom, then it is compound. But Material means ultimately it comes from the atoms, may be of similar type or different type. Right? So now think, if it is coming ultimately from atoms, maybe same or different, but atom is all the time neutral. Right? Atom is all the time neutral. So obviously molecule is also neutral. Right? Hence the material is in general neutral. Right? Material in general is neutral. Because atoms are neutral, molecules are neutral, hence the material is also neutral. Electrically neutral. Whatever number of positive charge is there, same amount of negative charge is also there in atoms or molecules or material. Right? Material means either atoms, group of atoms or group of molecules, and again the molecules are a group of atoms of different type. But ultimately the atoms are all neutral, so molecules are neutral, hence the material is also neutral. Right? Then when you will tell it is charged, you know the situation of neutral means equal number of positive and negative charge. That leads to tell it is neutral. But when there is difference, then it is charged. Right? That you have to do. Otherwise, atom is never charged. Once it is charged, it is no more called as atom, it is ion. Right? Atom is all the time neutral, and if you are telling there is a positive charge, it cannot be positive ion, atom must be positive ion or negative ion. It is because of transfer of electrons, whether the electrons are added or taken away. Right? It is in terms of electron transfer only, they gets ionized. So when it is ionized, maybe positively or negatively, that is because of transfer of electrons. If extra electrons are added to the atom, it is negatively or negative ion. If electrons are taken out of the atom, then it is positive ion. In that way you are getting two kinds of charges, positive and negative. Maybe ion, may not be ion. Right? But two kinds of charges are there, one is positive charge, other is negative charge. And the amount of charge is all, electron is, quantization of charge tells what? Q plus minus is nothing but equal to an integral multiple of this charge. Charge of electron only, because all the things are due to the transfer of electrons. Maybe 1 electron, 2 electron, 1000 electron, lakh electron, but this number is that number. How many number of electrons are there? Accordingly, we will tell it is positive or negative. That is quantization of charge. Minimum charge is charge of electron or proton. So if it is positive charge, proton, negative charge, electron. So it must be an integral multiple, because electron cannot be fraction, charge of electron cannot be fraction, because electron transfer means the whole charge is transferred. Right? So this is the quantization of charge. There are two kinds of charge, quantization of charge, conservation of charge. Charge means charge can neither be created nor be destroyed. It is just transferred from one system to another. That is conservation of charge. Right? Then quantization you know, conservation law you know, and addition. What do you mean by addition? Algebraic sum, plus minus. If it is plus, plus, minus, minus, just algebraically add them all to get the net charge. Right? That is the algebraic sum. So these are the, again, since there are two opposite charges, there is a force of attraction, Coulombian force. Between same charge it is repulsion, between dissimilar charge there is attraction. That is again the property of charge. Similar charge, repulsion, dissimilar charge, attraction. Positive, negative attract, negative, negative repel, positive, positive repel. Right? These are the basic characteristics associated with the charge. Right? Then next time we will move further kind of electric field charge relevant to that.